Well, hello, everybody. I know I'm sorry we were gone last week. We took a little break, but we are back. Fun Sports Podcast, and this is time to start previewing. I'm very excited. The 2026 NFL season. We're going to start with three divisions today. I think we decided right before we hopped on air, that we are going to start with the AFC West. We're going to preview those teams, a little bit of fantasy content. We're going to rank our four teams in the division. Then we're going to hit the NFC West today because the season's coming soon. We got a bonus division for you. We're going to do three today, three next week, and then the NFC North and another fun division will be the last week. So we've got the NFC West, AFC West, and the AFC South today. Those three divisions. This should be a lot of fun. I'm Isaac, got Med, the co-host, also working hard on Nerdcadia.
They're working way too hard on Arcadia right now.
I got to hear all the goodies on that after the show. Sorry for the late start, folks. I'm really excited. This is going to be great. There's so much to talk about. There's been so many players that have changed. Before we start the division previews, Med, any big thoughts on any players that changed teams that you're expecting to make a significant impact? Like last year, one of the biggest ones was obviously Micah Parsons changing teams. There was a ton of them, and he made a huge impact for the Packers and the Cowboys. The Bears getting Ben Johnson, it could be a coach. That was a huge boon for your team, huge boon for my team, I still think. Any big, we'll go coaches in a minute, any big player changes that you were like, damn, that's going to completely change the landscape, or under the radar moves that you're looking out for this year?
There's only two moves right at this moment that I can think of off the top of my head. And one of those moves, of course, will be dealing with one of the divisions that we're talking about, which is Myles Garrett going to the Rams. I mean, basically he took what I would consider already a good defense and made it next tier to elite. And, this is one of the reasons why I think the Rams have a very solid chance of being in the Super Bowl like most other people. And also another one I think is going to be a sneaky one. I mean, we've talked enough crap about it because we are a Bears and Packers fan, but I actually think that Kyler Murray might actually do pretty good this year up there in Minnesota. You look at all the weapons that they have up there with Addison and Justin Jefferson. And I know I'm speaking blasphemy right now because it's the Vikings, but you know what? I honestly think that he possibly, at least for the first half of the season, do pretty damn good.
Is the first half until a video game comes out.
We all know what's going to happen.
I feel bad saying it, but when you get cut from the team that drafted you and you're still in your 20s, you deserve it. Like, he hasn't stayed healthy. He really hasn't performed that well. I think he's like a 500 level. Like, he's one of those quarterbacks you start in your teams can be around 8 and 9, which was about what they finished last year with pretty awful quarterback play.
Yeah, I was going to say it's either that or JJ McCarthy.
If he could even stay healthy, that'd be the interesting thing, right?
No, I mean, all he has to do is just look at 9, his alter ego. So whack.
The Kyler Murray one's fun because I am so curious how he's going to play this year, and we're not hitting them today, but the Vikings we're going to talk about extensively. I'm so excited for that. Myles Garrett.
And there is another guy that we will talk about later in the last division that we'll talk about, which I think is one of the bigger moves in the offseason. And that would be Mr. David Montgomery going to Houston.
That is a huge move because they just lost a receiver. They've had issues in that running game. The offensive line has been not that good. The offense has been, honestly, it's let down that defense. Not just CJ Stroud, as bad as he was in the playoffs, but that entire offense has let that defense that's championship worthy down, to be honest. They should have made at least the AFC conference championship game last year with no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. I mean, that's the thing. We're not going to talk about Josh Allen much today, but that was an indictment on his legacy that he couldn't even make it to the conference championship. Neither could the Texans with that defense, which is kind of wild to me. There's several moves. The Myles Garrett one, I think, vaulted the Rams into the pole position. They are the favorite, and they should be, whether Aaron Donald comes back or not. I don't know about drafting Ty Simpson that early, but they got the possible successor to Stafford. Stafford's back. They also traded for some players we're going to talk about today. The Chiefs, that's the first division, the AFC West. They traded for McDuffie. They signed Watson. They get 2 new corners. They completely overhauled that defense in the weakest areas, made it better, and added to an offense that already had a 2-headed monster at running back, the reigning MVP Stafford, bringing back Nakua if he can get his head on straight, with Devontae and a good offensive line. That is with McVay. It almost feels like Super Bowl bust for that team, but we're going to hit the NFC West in a minute. Any coaching changes you think that'll make? Could be coordinator that you think are going to make a significant.
I think eventually with Kubiak going to Las Vegas, I think that's going to be a huge, huge thing in the future. I think in some ways you're already kind of seeing what's going on in Las Vegas right now. I do think that the Raiders will surprise some people this year. I think that now, are they going to make the playoffs? No. But I do think that they're going to surprise some people and definitely increase their win-loss record over last season.
Love it, man. All right, so everybody watching, we're going to start talking AFC West. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a coach like the Vrabel one from last year, which ironically, after his offseason, doesn't look as good, but he did make the Super Bowl in his first season with the Patriots. I don't think we're going to see that big of a jump this year, but like what Ben Johnson did last year. Living in Arizona, I'm curious what's going to happen. They have LaFleur. I'm curious if he's going to be able to turn this ship around here. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get as big of a jump as
a lot of changes out west.
They really are. I don't know. Like Las Vegas, I don't know if any of them are going to make a huge change. We're going to find
out. Not in the first year. Not those 2 teams. No. I think later on down the road, when the whole Carson Beck experience goes on with Arizona, and as far as Las Vegas, like I said, they had the number 1 overall pick, and we are going to start with AFC West in a second, but you look at all the teams that are right now doing their thing, and I mean, right now it really looks like the Super Bowl champion out of the NFC is going to be out of the West, and it's possible that, looking at the AFC West, there may be a team out there for that as well. So, not named Kansas City.
Let's talk about that AFC West. Do you want to start at the bottom or you want to start at the top?
We can start wherever you want to. You pick the team and let's roll with it.
Let's start at the bottom like Drake, because I think this one's probably a consensus for both of us. I hope Mendoza proves me wrong, and I don't think it's him. I just think it's a long rebuild. I like Genty, but you had one of the worst offensive lines in the league last year. You do have Brock Bowers, so it's kind of like the Colts. You have the making of some playmakers on offense, and I have Jack Beck in Dynasty. They bring him. I think they brought in Myers. That receiving core is pretty weak. I thought they should address that earlier. But they did address Mendoza. They had a good draft. They drafted the quarterback. They did hit the rest of the roster. You still have Max Crosby on the other side. You do have some blue chip playmakers. But I think unless Mendoza and the coach provide like a massive jump for the rest of the roster, I don't see this team even sniffing the 3rd team in the division, and that's the Raiders. I don't know if you feel the same way I do. Linderbaum does help with their line.
Yes, he does.
I'm expecting, if Mendoza's good, more competent play, but I just don't think there's such a talent gap between them and the other 3 teams in the division. It's probably if they were good, it'd be the toughest division in football. Them or the NFC West or the NFC North.
Yeah, and I mean, with Linderbaum, the one thing that a lot of people don't really realize is, of course, he's a center. And yes, they threw down a lot of money for him. But also at the same time, they get a leader on that offensive line, which is something they sorely lacked last year. And also, he is very good at run blocking, which this team is going to really kind of feast on at the beginning of the season. You look at what they have in the backfield. You got Gente, and now you got Washington, who is coming in from Arkansas, another big back, 234 pounds of muscle. This isn't like a thunder and lightning duel. This is like a hammer with the anvil. They're just going to pound the rock. And with Kubiak doing a lot of play actions and stuff, which will actually feed towards Mendoza later in the season, they do have Kirk Cousins to throw plenty of interceptions to the other team. So you'll be able to watch all the upgrades on that defense that they had last year, especially Quay Walker, a former Packer, and Nakobe Dean, reuniting since their days at the University of Georgia. So you do have a lot of chemistry and a lot of upgrade going in on the defense. I do see that defense vastly improving to possibly go from what was near the bottom last year to a top 10 defense this year. And, you look at Jalen Naylor, who'd never really got a chance over in Minnesota, being brought in as well after the let go Jacoby Myers last year to go to another team we'll talk about later. And, Trey Tucker actually intrigues me. He only had 37 receptions, but he made the most of it with 696 yards for a sparkling 12.2 yards per catch. So, that was with garbage quarterbacks. So,
that's an interesting take. I like Peter's take. He'd take the Raiders skill positions out of the Chiefs.
I kind of agree with him right now.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear that as an excuse for Mahomes because he's won a few rings, and some people are picking them to go back to a Super Bowl, and I don't see it at all.
No.
At all. Like Kenneth Walker was very good in the playoffs, but he's going to have to be a superstar, and the receivers are going to have to stay healthy, and Mahomes is going to have to come back from an ACL faster than anybody ever has, other than Adrian Peterson. So, I agree with you. I like the skill positions, and I was looking at so they brought in Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. That really solidifies the linebackers.
Yes, it does.
You bring in a center. They have a solid draft. Like you said, Trey Tucker, the receiver's probably the weakest position, but at least you've got Brock Bowers. And if the line can just be decent, Genty, I think, provides a spark, hopefully. I thought coming out of college, he was going to be awesome. So,
and even with the offensive line being straight up ass last year, you look at what Genty was able to do. He ran for 985 yards, which is pretty good for a rookie. Yes, it's a 17-game season. It really feels like some of the running backs have a shoe-in for a 1,000-yard season. But with that offensive line and the tatters that it was last year, they even upgraded that a little bit, bringing in a couple guards and also drafting somewhat heavily in the offensive line area. But I think that with all the improvements that they brought in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, they are going to be I'm going to pound this ball down your face, and then you're going to try to do the same thing with us with the defense that we just severely upgraded. They put a lot of money in that side of the ball, and rightfully so. They didn't think they were going to have Max Crosby back, so that's why they did all these upgrades. And then, of course, the trade with Baltimore fell through.
Yep. It did. And then their drafts, let's see, what did we talked about these draft classes. They go get Mendoza. They got Stukes, the safety from Arizona. They get defensive end. They had a solid draft. They get a receiver way late. They get Mike Washington to help with Genty, just to give some depth there. They got McCoy, the cornerback in the 4th round, if he can stay healthy. Interesting. That's kind of what this one. Now I remember this is what this one hinges on. What's your thinking on? I'm looking at their schedule, and they have the AFC West. They've got in the season they do have Miami, so if they can be a competent team, they do go to New Orleans, even though that defense might be decent. They also have the Rams. That sucks.
That's a no.
They had the NFC West, 49ers, Seahawks. They do get the Browns and the Titans, and they go to the Cardinals. Do you see them getting more than 5 wins?
I actually have them going 7-10.
7-10. Wow.
Yeah. I think that they're actually going to have mainly because, like I said, I am a big fan of what they did on their defense. And I think that they will be able to make enough plays and keep the ball out of the hands of the other team for this season. They don't have a playmaker as far as the receiving core outside of Bowers. Trey Tucker can be that guy. He could potentially be that guy. But I'm also going to be a little bit more conservative, say that he may not be that guy. But, you look at, they're just building blocks. They got 2 stud running backs. They upgraded their offensive line. Why not just try to force it down their face like they did, like Seattle did about a decade ago with Marshawn Lynch?
I've got them going 4th as well. Good, man. You brought it. I love it. I've got them going 6 and 10. I like the defense. I do think that if they can
so they're going to miss one game.
Oh, 6 and 11. What am I doing? Nicely done. That's why I just worked out.
Oh no, trust me. I had to think about it before too. When I was doing my numbers, I was like, shit, there's 17 games now. So
they're gonna forfeit a game. I'm gonna say 6 wins. The over under on them is 5.5. I could see them just beating it. The problem is they play a tough division, but if Mahomes isn't ready or they catch one of those teams after they beat up each other, they could steal a win. It's possible. Limit the turnovers, run the ball Genty in Washington. Now you got 2 guys. If Washington can spill Genty for a few, you still have Brock Bowers if you get creative on how to use him and protect Mendoza. The defense and the running game could be solid enough to get you a few wins. And if Mendoza is solid, that's worth 1 or 2 wins by itself. So I'll go 6 and 11. Bottom feeder, but hopefully a little bit more respectable. Okay, 3rd. I actually have a tie record wise here, and I'm thinking in the 9 to 10 win range. I have the Chargers and Chiefs tied for 2nd. I think the Chiefs will be the tiebreaker, but I think people are a little too high on them. They did lose 2 corners. I got to see the rookie actually be good. I got to see the receivers actually stay healthy. I just don't love this roster. And I think that they'll be a little bit better than last year. I think they're going to be in the 9 to 10 win range. But people are also forgetting Mahomes is coming off that ACL. And I really got to see him be Mahomesy in the first 6 games. If he's playing but still getting his feet wet after tearing the ACL, I can't see him being the Mahomes that was stretching plays in the first half of the season, just like last year, unless he's freaking Adrian Peterson. I've seen one skill guy do that with that short of a recovery time. So I've got to see it. So I'm in that 9 to 10. I keep fluctuating 9 or 10 wins. Not super high on the Chargers either. I like the talent, but I think they finished with the same record. The Chargers, here's the thing is, it's almost put up or shut up time for Herbert. He's got to get this done. They have too talented of a roster, and he still hasn't won a playoff game. And we're going to the year 4 of Harbaugh being there. You want to see that team take a step forward, and they haven't. So this is a big pressure year for Harbaugh, Herbert, and the Chargers. And I think that they frankly need to threaten the Broncos for the division to shut people up. And I think they're a few wins away from that right now. I think the Broncos are actually head and shoulders better than the rest of the division. I really do. I think they should have been in the Super Bowl.
They should have been. But,
Yeah, that defense is legit. And they brought Waddle in.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, you have them going. You're looking at. Well, I'll start with Kansas City first.
You got them 3rd?
No, I don't. I have them 4th.
Wait, you have them behind the Raiders?
Yes.
I love it. I want to send this to our buddy, our Chiefs fan, and I forgot to do it. I totally get it, dude.
So the reason why I say this is you do look at some of the upgrades they did. Now, they did go out and they got Walker. Of course, everyone knows that move. But you do look at the fact that this team is aging and it is injury riddled. Last year, their 3 top receiving draft picks combined for 29 games and 21 starts between Worthy, Rice, and they ain't on the field that much anyway, so I can't remember the other guy right off the top of my head. But the last 3 top draft picks for their receiving core have combined for 29 games and 21 starts last year, not including what was going on with Kelsey. Now, Kelsey rightfully should have took his horse, rode into the sunset. You got your $1 billion lady. Go. You have the fairy tale. Just go ahead and have a happy after with Taylor Swift. Mahomes is going to be a lot of Chiefs fans are optimistic about Mahomes being here week 1. Folks, it's an ACL. Yes, medicine is an incredibly cool thing. And yes, we are light years ahead of what it was 10 years ago, but it was an ACL. The best thing they could do is just sit his ass for up to week 10, 11, let him chip off some of the rust by then. By then, you already are out of the playoff race because you have Justin Fields as your quarterback. And as someone that watched Justin Fields for 3 seasons can attest, it's going to be a long year. Now, you do have a great coach in Andy Reid. He might be able to make some things happen, but you also look at the fact that your defense is older. They're missing 2 of their top. They lost pretty much 3 of their 4 starters in the secondary. Everyone's a year older. That's a recipe for you're going to suck, and it is what it is. You're now drafting out of positions of need. You went and got Delane, who is a great prospect coming from LSU. They know a thing or two about cornerbacks. But then you look at Peter Woods from Clemson. You look at Mason Thomas, edge rusher from Oklahoma. These are guys that you are now drafting because of need. You have had 7, 8 years of drafting whatever you feel like, to where you're no longer able to do that, and you are actually paying the piper, because that's what happens when you pay a franchise quarterback. I have y'all going 6-11 for obvious reasons. Your offensive line is not that great. You have a running back that is great, but could get injured. But you did get an insurance policy with Darren Marquito from Arizona, and then you also drafted Emmett Johnson.
Oh, by the way, Kenneth Walker's already hurt. Kenneth Walker's already hurt. He has a foot issue and a back issue.
Oh, shocker. That's $45 million well spent. But yeah, you look at that's what I'm talking about. I mean, when they
I'm not super high on them. I was doing it out of respect, but I thought there was a chance. I thought there was a solid chance they finish under 500 again, but they had the worst luck in 500 in 1-score games after having the best luck in NFL history. So I thought it would aggregate somewhere towards the mean. That's where I was thinking they'd finish around 500 in the 1-score games after finishing 2-7 or something. Mm-hmm. After the year before, they set a NFL record. So I figured after historically great luck, and then I looked it up the other day, historically bad luck last year, I figured we'd find the middle. But this is counting on Rashee Rice to keep his head on straight. Mm-hmm. Xavier Worthy to stay healthy.
Stay on the field.
I don't want to hear about Tyquan Thornton. If that's where you're relying on it.
That was the third guy. Thank you.
You got problems if you're relying on him. Peter asked a wonderful question speaking about Justin Fields. Any intrigue in seeing what Andy Reid can do with him?
Actually, there is. I mean, you look at what. The way I look at it is, I kind of look at him as a dumber version of Alex Smith. Alex Smith was the traditional check down. Here, I'm going to toss it to the running back to have him run. Justin Fields is going to be like, hey, I'm going to hike this ball and I'm going to do everything in my power to turn it over to the other team. And if he can actually get his head on straight and they simplify that offense. And I know that Izac is trying his best not to laugh at how I'm just trashing the dude right now. They could surprise some people, but they're not going to surprise some people because we, Peter, know how Justin Fields is outside of being a decent person, is as a player. The dude had 38 turnovers. I haven't covered
my face in a while. I'm just going to let you do the take. No, with Andy Reid, there is some curiosity. There is. If Walker's healthy, that's kind of intriguing. You do have speed at receiver with Worthy. Rice is a good receiver when healthy, when he's not being a moron. He actually is talented. We know that. He's in fantasy, he's 16th, in the teens. He's ranked high for a reason. There is talent. It just hasn't come to fruition. They got pretty lucky a couple of years ago. They really did. They wrote the remains of a great defense, and they've started a soft rebuild. Chiefs fans don't want to accept it, but the Patriots went through this. Now you're going through it. It happens. You cannot stay on top of the NFL for very long. The fact they won 3 out of 4 is a dynasty.
It's the way it's designed nowadays, folks. You don't have the super teams like the Steelers or the 49ers of the 80s. You luckily will get 4 or 5, and in their case, extremely good 7 years. What the Patriots were able to do was simply ride the coattails of Tom Brady to all those championship appearances. You don't have Tom Brady, you have Patrick Mahomes. And even though he is a great quarterback, top 3 easy right now. He's not Tom Brady. He will never be Tom Brady. And Justin Fields, as athletically gifted as he is your tier 32 quarterback in the NFL right now.
Oh, he is. And the thing that you do is you pair a historically great quarterback with a great defensive mind, Peter Brady with Belichick. You have Mahomes, you had Reed, but they were winning because Spagnuolo knew how to use the tools on that defense and had enough to work with to get 3 rings. Could happen in a couple of years, but they've got to retool a lot of positions. Noah Gray is not the replacement to Travis Kelce. They were great because they were able to mask a lot of their issues on offense after Tyreek left because Kelce still had it. He still is a good tight end, but he's not an elite Hall of Fame level tight end anymore. So, that's a good question. If they're out of the playoffs, do they trade Chris Jones? Can you imagine the Rams calling him up? Hey, Aaron Donald didn't play. Can we snag Jones from you?
He is actually, Chris Jones is considered one of the top 10 worst contracts in the NFL right now.
Yep. And he still is a hell of a player. In key pivotal moments, you want him, but what's his contract? He's getting ridiculous amounts of money. Ridiculous. Okay, so your hierarchy, I want to make sure I got this. I love it. I'm gonna come bring in the heat this year. This might be our final year for a while. So Chiefs, Raiders, I'm guessing Chargers, Broncos.
What
was your record prediction for the Chiefs? Sorry to interrupt.
Chiefs was 6-11.
So you have Chiefs 6-11, Raiders
7-10.
Okay, so I'm gonna do mine. Raiders 6-11. I'm gonna go Chiefs 9-8.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Chargers 9-8. They're tied.
Okay.
I'm not loving.
And with the Chargers, I think, so I think they're actually going to break the mold a little bit here. They're going to go 12-5. And I just think that offense is this time they have youth. They don't have old man Allen running routes out there anymore. I think Justin Herbert's going to say, you know what, this is the year that I go to the playoffs and I will lose for a 7th time in a row because that's what Justin Fields is going to do. He's going to cement his status as Dan Marino of this generation. And he's going to basically just make a lot of money off of regular season attributes. I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people will hate for me for saying that, but they do have a sneaky good team. And believe it or not, even though that their defense has aged like blue cheese, they've actually had a good defense, a top 5 defense last year against scoring. Can they do it again this year? Old man Mac thinks he can. I mean, he had 17 sacks right there, but exactly.
might be time. Maybe we'll see.
I don't think so. I think this will probably be his last year, and if it is, I think he's going to finish out as a Charger. But I mean, one of the guys that is really a blessing to see on defense is Derwin James. Check him out. Still an amazing player. He's the type player that elevates everyone else around him. Kind of reminds me of Brian Dawkins, but a little bit better at coverage.
I really hope that they keep the defense intact and just start overhauling the other positions of need. Like they've overhauled the offensive line. I'm thinking Omarion Hampton's going to bust out. That could be where I'm wrong. If they're able to lean on the run and then Herbert's working off play action because you've got Hampton just running amok like he started to at the end of last year once he got healthy. If he could stay healthy, they protect Herbert. That defense has been solid. I could be wrong. And just when teams continue to lose in the playoffs and Herbert's lost 3 of the last 4 years, he made it 3 of the last 4. He's 0-3. It's hard to keep the Packers got to move one direction. We'll talk about them later. You got to stop being the 7 seed, move up, down, stop being stagnant. It's not
could be in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, at least we make the playoffs every year. I want to see your team. I want to see your team make it 2 years in a row. I do.
We'll
I want to
see.
see.
We'll see what happens.
I drafted
Hmm.
Caleb in Dynasty, yet I'm expecting your team to regress, and I think it's a three-way race in the NFC North. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. We're saving that one for last. The Chargers are an interesting team, man. Do you think Lad McConkey, do you think he regains a little bit of that rookie form? Because he faded a bit last year. They're really counting on him. They
I think
drafted Harris, but
I
yeah.
think that he's going to be the lead dog. Lad is, and the reason why is you look at what with Keenan Allen going back last year to there, that took away a lot of the targets. You do have Gatson that is at tight end, so it's John Harbaugh football. I mean, he whenever I think of Lad McConkey, I think of a former Bear, one of my favorite players of all time, Tom Waddle. Decent little white receiver that can actually catch the ball, catches anything. Will probably get a dozen concussions in his career, but you know what? He's going to catch the ball. And
sounds like a poor man's Julian Edelman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like who just took so many hits, but was so tough and was just sneaky fast, could get open, but he had hands that were just you could count on him. That's what Yeah.
And also, a lot of people don't remember is Lad McConkey was recruited out of high school as a 3-star receiver.
Yes, he was.
So, I mean, for him to be able to actually do what he's done and already be 1,000-yard receiver, 1,200 yards to be exact, pretty amazing in itself. Let's just, with Keenan Allen being gone and, Quinn, it's kind of crazy. You look at Quinn Johnston, no one ever talks about him, but he has actually been the leading receiver in touchdowns for the Chargers the last 2 years.
And he was kind of the number one last year. I mean, it was kind of like the Packers and Bears. It was a mixed show. Like Lad dropped a lot. He was down in the 700s. So it was kind of like him and Johnston and Keenan Allen and Gadsden all mixed in. I'm curious. It might be a spread the wealth system again, which it sucks for fantasy owners, but it's not bad for the QB. If you've got 4 or 5 guys you can count on, makes you tougher to defend. Here's Jason's interesting. The Raiders. That's right. He's a Raiders fan. Huh. If all 4 teams finish above 500, if the Raiders can take that big of a jump, and the Chiefs, like me and Med both have concerns, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, well, another thing about the Chargers is they drafted 4 offensive linemen this year. So, they really injuries was basically the main reason why, they had the issues that they had going into the playoffs where they just got smacked around. But it was also because they couldn't protect Herbert. He deserves some of the blame, no doubt. I will agree with that. But also at the same time, if he's running for his life every time he snaps the ball, then you have other issues as well.
I can't wait for football, man. It's exciting that we're just over 2 weeks away. Like I'm getting excited. The Broncos. Mm-hmm. Where do you think they go? Because I love the Waddle addition, but there's a guy they drafted by the name of Jonah Coleman, who I'm a big fan of. I watched some tape on this kid, and I was impressed. Now, the problem is he's in a Sean Payton system, so he may never be the lead back, but he could provide that offense some explosion in the run game. And I'm not a massive Bo Nix guy, but he's got a lot of toys. He's got a lot of weapons now, and that defense is got to be top 3 probably. I mean, if the Rams take a jump, it's them and the Texans are probably, that's the 3 I think of. Seahawks are in there, obviously. One of the best defenses in the league. Good coach, very good coach. He's got that team going the right direction. I think they're going to be pissed they didn't make the Super Bowl, and they're going to want to make amends. What do you think?
So Bo Nix was actually rated 26th in passer rating last year. A lot of people talk about the fact that, he had so many game-winning drives. Yeah, he had 7. Awesome. But also at the same time, you look at what he was doing other outside. If he could do what he does going into halftime or going towards the end of the game during the whole game and not, being so inconsistent or a slow starter in the first and third quarters, they have an MVP candidate on their hands right there at quarterback. You look at what they got as far as Jalen Waddle, brought him in, will pair great with Cortland Sutton and his more of a possession type receiver. You mentioned Coleman. The dude is like, basically I could see him becoming like an Alvin Kamara. for what the Saints were a few years back before Kamara started breaking down and, curb stomping guys in the hotel parking lots and stuff. But yes, the defense, that's pretty much what that whole team is. They're number 2 last year, had 60, that has to be a typo, 68 sacks. I'll have to relook at that, but they will have to replace John Franklin Myers, who, of course, went to the Tennessee Titans later this year. And also at the same time, how many pressures can you actually get? They did a really good job at doing that. And, they actually had 14 turnovers.
They had 68. They had 68 sacks last year.
They had 68? Okay. So that means that they're in the top 10 of all time in a season, folks.
Nick Benito had 14.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper had 8. Franklin Myers had 7.5 himself. Zach Allen had 7. And then they had a bunch of guys that had 4, and then 3. It adds up. Yeah.
Zach Allen can be the next Jared Allen. I mean, that's high praise.
This defense is freaking legit, man. Like, this defense, them and the Texans scare me the most personally. I think the Rams could be there with Garrett. They could be. But this defense is legit. If all you need is Bo Nix to be decent. This is like the Texans, but he doesn't. The good thing for them is he doesn't tend to make a lot of mistakes in playoff games. So, you've got that. But I love this roster. I thought the Waddle edition was solid. They got him with Franklin, with Sutton. You got Ingram, who hopefully can give you a little bit more. I personally love the Coleman draft. I think he could.
That's a great pick.
He could push Harvey and Dobbins, maybe, but they've got now 3 dudes in the running game I like. You got depth at receiver. I don't know. I think this is the most talented team in the AFC, personally, if they can stay healthy. You got to have Bo Nix not miss the conference championship this year. That's the biggest indictment on him, is he was hurt, and that's not his fault. So, he needs to take a step forward as a player for this team to achieve its goal of winning the Super Bowl, which should be their goal. And I love it for my aunt because she was a Broncos fan, my late aunt. So maybe we might see it this year. They're one of the, I think, top 5 teams. So I'm going to go 14-3. What are you thinking for the Broncos?
I went a little more conservative. I actually have them going 12-5 also, just like the Chargers, but having the tiebreaker over the Chargers.
I could see it. That's probably a little high, but all right.
No, 14-3. I mean, that's solid. I mean, like you said, if Bo Nix can stay healthy, I could see it. But also at the same time, you look at the fact that the defense didn't really produce that many takeaways. They only had 10, which ranked them. They had 14, which ranked them 26th. But they also had 9.8% pressures. Normally, if you had ranked 10th in pressures, your interceptions or turnover rate is a lot higher than what that it is at only 14.
And Nix played really well in that playoff game last year. If he can take he completed 63% of his passes last year, 25 TDs, 11 picks, had 5 scores in the run game, so he had over 30 total TDs. Only 2 years in the league. If he can take that 3rd-year jump, this team could be really scary. That's kind of their biggest question mark, is Bo Nix, and then it might be the receiving core, but they kind of addressed that with Waddle, so maybe it might be, honestly, there's not a lot of weaknesses on the roster. Maybe Evan Ingram, if you had a more explosive tight end, but he's still solid. We're gonna find out. That's one of my favorite teams. Okay, NFC West. Let's pivot. I think there's a clear bottom feeder, and it's a team that might be led by Carson Beck late season. My new home, my old home. That's my new home.
New home.
Oh, I'm announcing I live in Phoenix now. There you go. Arizona Cardinals. I will say, I do like some of their toys on offense, but they're in for a long season.
Yes,
this team might struggle to win 4 games. I'm going to pick 4 to be nice, but I could see them winning 2 or 3. I do. If Marvin Harrison can finally get his head on straight, you do have Trey McBride, maybe the best tight end in football, and you just drafted Jeremiah Love, and Wilson was decent last year. So there is at least the makings of playmakers on offense, but then you're lacking what I would consider a decent offensive line. You do have Sweat, but you're lacking a lot of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. So I they're going to struggle to win any divisional games with the Rams, Seahawks, and the 49ers in this division. I'm going to go 3-14. I think they need to figure out if Beck's it, and they need to stop messing around with Brissett, but he was solid for him last year. I think they should figure out if they have the QB, and that should be their biggest goal other than player development this year. They should be focusing on getting their franchise quarterback in the 2027 draft.
I 100% agree with you with that.
I have a lot of thoughts on them, obviously.
No, I 100% agree with you because, I mean, you look at what they have right now. They got Brissett, who is number one, and they brought in Gardner Minshew to push him. And then you have Carson Beck, who is waiting off in the wings, and it's kind of just chilling, waiting for his time. But, I don't know if he's going to really get a fair shake at it. You look at, the fact that they brought in Tyler Algier, which I do like that pickup because he is a younger John Connor who I think will, slowly fade off into the sunset with this. You have the best tight end in the game right now with McBride. So you do have that. And you got also Michael Wilson. So, you got some good pieces. The big question is going to be what happens as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. is concerned, because right now he's headed into bust territory. The first couple of years that he's been there, he is basically had one good season in 2 seasons. He had 103 catches for 1,493 yards and 12 touchdowns across 29 games. And it's and if you actually break down the average for that, it looks like you're not a number one receiver. You're not even a number two. You are a third receiver with a 3.5 reception rate, 51 yards, and 0.41 touchdowns a game. And
the stats.
Yeah, I am smoking it. And they also brought in a free agent, Izac Samuel, but I will say that Josh Sweat actually told me to shut up, and he posted 12 sacks this past season. I do like that, and also, unfortunately for them, that is twice as many as the rest of the outside linebackers combined.
This is a fun question. I missed it. I'm sorry. The Broncos question. Great take, by the way, Med.
Thank you.
I really like the Sutton Waddle combo, and Franklin actually started playing really well for them last year, and they still have Pat Bryant and Mims behind them, so they're starting to build some depth at receiver. Waddle has taken a step back the last couple of years with the Dolphins, but I think that was due to a boy named Tua Tagovailoa turned the ball over. Not playing very well. I think that was
did not do that at Bama.
He's only 27. I think I still really like Sutton. I drafted him late in my dynasty draft, but I think he'll be a good red zone target, and he's only 30. He might still have
he's still pretty young. He's still in the prime.
Yeah, 30. I think he might turns 31 this year, but I didn't see him lose much last year. He dropped off a little at the end. I think those two and Franklin could make some noise and give Nix his best season as a pro if he can stay healthy. I think it's possible. Especially with decent, I think they just added to the running game. Dobbins always goes down, so now you have another guy behind Harvey to help share the load because Dobbins always gets hurt. Jason, I like this prediction. Cardinals 4-13. I'm gonna go 3. Yeah, I'll go 4-13. They do have some playmakers. Should be good for a couple wins.
No, I do agree. That's pretty much the rankings I have right there too.
The 49ers are an interesting one because you love Shanahan. Can they get another 11 wins? Kittle's coming back. Warner's coming back. Bosa's coming back. Can that freaking aging team stay healthy? I have them third for the same reason. I'm going to go 10 wins. I'm going to go 10-7. It's injury concerns for me. I love bringing in Mike Evans, but he is 33 years old. I don't know, man. I think they just brought Debo back. This is tough. What do you think?
It's not that tough.
Do you think they stay healthy?
Well, that's the thing is, San Francisco is basically a retirement home at this point. They are the oldest team in the NFL. And the only reason why they are, they actually boast the second youngest defense, but they boast the oldest offense.
Med, on their injury reporter on ESPN, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starters on offense questionable already, and it's not, the season hasn't started.
Well, I was going to say, it looks like they're in mid-season form. So,
I
think in the last
5 defensive starters injured already.
When you have players, most of your star players on your offensive side of the ball over their 30s, on the wrong side of 30, we're talking about C-Mac, we're talking about Mike Evans, we're talking about Kittle. We are talking the only young guy that they have is an offensive star for the San Francisco 49ers is Brock Purdy. And even then, last year he missed 8 games from a turf toe. I mean, dude had a bunion.
Did they bring Mac Jones back? They got Mac Jones. They're fine.
Yeah. Mac Jones. But they are. So I even put a note in here. Brought in Mike Evans, who at 33 helps the 49ers achieve the oldest offense in the NFL at 27.4 years.
Yeah, Purdy's a baby. He's only 26, man.
Yeah.
He's like looking at all them with gray hair. Except for Christian McCaffrey, he's only 30, but he's.
But I mean, 30 for a running back is pretty hefty. And you look at the fact that this is coming off a season where he just had 413 touches. So when you have a running back who already has a history of getting beat up, what's going to happen after 413 touches? Remember, last year he had a full year the year before because he got injured early then. Then he had a season. So that means, are they going to do the same thing that Josh Jacobs does? Is he going to have another year off this year from injuries? Could be.
That's why I think Jacobs is going to have a great year, even though he's had some personal problems, because this is what he's done his whole career. And he's 28, so I think he's got 1 or 2 more in him. Kind of like Saquon, but Jacobs is most like that. Peter's right. They're hurt now, not in the season. It's just is ironic that happened again. 49ers are eliminated from the playoffs and the season hasn't even started yet, Jason. We're going to bring you 2 on for a show this year, at least one. And then Peter, Jason and you agreeing on something, head desk.
Well, let me put it this way. The 49ers at one point this season had an average of 15.4 players injured at game time.
So how many wins do they get? Because for comparison, the Bears and the Packers are at 9.5 on BetMGM. That's just 1. But they have the 49ers at 10.5. And I would argue I'm more concerned about the 49ers injuries, to be honest with you.
I am too.
By a lot. And I could still see them winning more games and being like a lame duck playoff team, kind of like they were last year, where they got their ass beat.
Well, they got their ass beat in division playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
They kicked ass in the wild card. They got their ass beat in the divisional rounds by their arch rival at that. But I have them going 12-5. I think that they're going to still do mystical stuff. I mean, they've dealt with injuries before, and we've seen them what they were able to do. Dre Greenlaw is actually coming back, so they will form that little duo. Not as good as it used to be with Fred Warner, but I'm still kind of intrigued to see how that does. Their defense is going to be solid, but you look at what their offense is, and it's just, I wouldn't say a lot of question mark. I mean, whatever happened to Brandon Ayuk? Why don't we ever hear about him before? Did the San Francisco Mafia take him and throw him into the San Francisco Bay? We don't know. Pearsall is sitting there and he got gunshot probably by the other people. They were like, I can't believe that you're a first-round pick for this team. I mean, it's just
Ayuk has made so many social media posts. He wants to go to Washington. I think he might legit not play for another NFL team. Like the 49ers have on what list is he on? I don't even know the name of this list. Hold on. It's something crazy. Is on what list? I think it's the exempt list. Oh, he's on the reserve left team list. That's what it's called.
Who? Pearsall or Ayuk?
Ayuk. So he ain't playing for him.
No.
Like, it ain't happening.
Well, he done stirred up so much crap with that team that they probably want to just get rid of him.
That's why they brought in Debo. They brought
Yes.
Debo back in to slide right back in after he had a solid season with Washington last year. He's going to be the number 2. You got Kittle, you got McCaffrey. It's weird. It's still, when healthy, a scary offense. It's just, how often are all those guys going to be healthy? You know? Yeah, I don't think Ayuk, he could get cut. I don't think anybody pick him up. I think he's toast. At least in San Fran. So we'll find out. I've got them going 10-7. I'm worried about the injuries. I love the potential with the defense, but they do play in the division where you still have Seattle and the Rams. So, yep, they're going to be in that mix. Okay, who do you have going second in the NFC West?
Well, I have your defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks going in there. I don't really have a ton of notes with them, but I mean, pretty much it's not the same team from last year. They lost a few players on their defensive side of the ball with May and Woolen, of course, being signed elsewhere. Darnell and Jackson Smith and Jimba were magical together. I think they're going to continue to be magical together. I'm interested to see what happens with Walker being gone. Zach Charbonnet is out right now, but they did pick up Price from the new Notre Dame in the draft. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he's going to get the ball, and I actually wonder if he's actually going to give it back. Because if Jeremiah Love didn't have the season that he had at Notre Dame last year, Price would have probably been the top 5 pick and not Love. So
your story.
It's just amazing how much talent they had in their backfield last year. And, you know, you look at the Seattle's secondary, they lost some players. I mean, some people are saying, well, it's not going to change. No, it's going to change a little bit because you lost Woolen, who was a good cornerback, and then Kobe Bryant went and shot his shot over in Chicago. So, I mean, it is what it is. And I think that, you know, we're going to see what happens with Kenneth Walker, you know, taking his injury bug to Kansas City. And we're going to see if that, you know, they basically retained everyone. They could make another push for the Super Bowl.
I really like Jadarian Price. I think they could too. I still think the Rams are better if healthy, but I really like this team. They did lose some important pieces. You know, Walker was an important piece, but I like Jadarian Price. I think I don't know if I see a superstar, but I see a dang good player. And Wilson's solid enough. I think Charbonnet, you know, he's going to be hurt.
I think he's more Marshawn Lynch than Chris Carson.
Probably. And that might work for this team. They could use that. That'd be great. Take some pressure off Darnold's. You still have JSN. You got Barner. You got Shaheed. You've got a lot of weapons. Horton could make some noise finally. You got Cooper Kupp. Like, this team is like stacked, man. The only reason, and I probably would say 12-5, the only reason I've got them down a notch is because I've got the Rams. I'll just, you know, say it right now. I've got them as the Super Bowl favorite. I think it's going to be Rams Broncos Super Bowl. And whether Donald comes back or not, and if he's even a shell of himself, that's going to be ridiculous. But addressing the cornerback needs and then getting Myles Garrett and then bringing all the boys back, with Stafford coming off that year, hungry for that second ring. He wants to get that second ring before he retires. And this team's loaded. I got the Rams. They've got a lot of other players I like. Adding Myles Garrett with a defense that already had Byron Young and all those other boys that was already top 10 fantasy, and they were really good. Then bringing 2 corners in and Garrett, I just love this defense. If Devontae can just be solid and Nakua stays healthy, dang. Corum started to steal some carries from Kyron Williams last year. Old Michigan boy. Blake Corum started looking pretty good last year.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this team. Depends on health. You've got some aging playmakers in Stafford, and Garrett is 30, but the rest of that team, and Devontae, but the rest of that team's, most of the stars are younger. I'm going to go 13-4 for the Rams.
So I went 15-2 with the Rams.
I could see it. I really could.
I mean, I legit, and that was really pushing it, because I was actually at one point saying that they could go undefeated if, you know, the stars align and everyone stays healthy. But in the very end of things, you look at the Myles Garrett thing, they were already a defense that had a boast of ranking 6th in sacks last year, and then you bring in Myles Garrett, a future Hall of Famer that can, is coming off the sacks record. So, how many times does a team just get richer that's not Kansas City in the past few years by bringing in a stud defensive player that will elevate you from good to elite? And, as far as Stafford's concerned, this dude is just defying father time right now. This is a guy that 3 years ago, I was expecting to see his arm fall off in the middle of the field. Now, he turned in his best season at 38, won the MVP. But in the very end of things, you look at they have a stud backfield, like you said, two-headed monster with Williams and Corum. I mean, they're starting to click, and Blake Corum can probably possibly take over number one running back duties there. So he just fits their team a little bit better. But with Stafford and all those weapons, Devontae Adams leading the NFL in reception touchdowns, as far as receivers are concerned, it's just amazing. But they're going to need Puka. And if they do not have Puka, I don't see them winning Lombardi. Now, if they do have Puka Nacua, then they're going to probably win that Lombardi, because I just don't see anyone as far as a talent level, even competing with them. Not the Bears, not the Eagles, nobody.
Did the Browns win that trade if they don't win? Well, it might not be a 1 year window. You might get 2 years out of Stafford, maybe 3. So I don't think they have to win it this year, but do they have to win a ring?
At the end of the thing, I mean, that's the whole point where you make trades like that. When you go after people like that, you look at what Reggie White did for the Packers back in the mid-'90s. You look at, what Terrell Owens did for the Philadelphia Eagles. It didn't end in the ring, but it ended with a trip to the Super Bowl. And when you get a player of that caliber to play on your team, the main goal at the very end is to get a Super Bowl. Buffalo tried with Von Miller, but Von Miller was just way too old at that point, and he was brittle. And, you go after them high names, them high caliber players to give yourself that chance.
Is Von Miller went to the Rams and won one with them after he did with the Broncos, right?
Well, Von Miller?
Yeah. He went to
the Rams and then he went to Buffalo.
He was still good, but and the Cowboys ironically just signed him. We'll get into that another day. I don't have the energy for the Cowboys today, even though they could actually be decent. Okay, last division, AFC South. We'll have to hit fantasy stuff on another show.
Before we start, question for you, and also I guess for you too, Peter, Mr. Question Maker. Is there another division that has more top 10 quarterbacks starting than the AFC South, but are straight trash?
You know what's funny is we might be talking about Trevor Lawrence as the best quarterback in this division the way he played last year, if he can figure it out again. Isn't that freaking crazy?
And he wasn't even that crazy of stats.
No, was he solid on the ground? Is that what it was?
He had a 60-point. I guess we're going to start with Jacksonville with the way it's sounding right now.
I'm looking at his stats right now. He is 26 years old. Wow, he's not even that old. That's crazy. This is his 6th year. He had 29 TDs. Yeah, he had 9 rushing TDs.
No, that's why then.
And he had 4,000 passing yards. And he had 4,000 passing yards. So he was at over.
He had a Tim Tebow season in the NFL.
He was solid enough in the air, solid enough with 29 TDs. That's pretty good, actually. But then to add 9 more on the ground, yeah, that's a Tim Tebow.
But you look at his completion percentage.
It's like a Josh Allen season.
Yeah, his completion percentage is garbage. But do you want to start? Who do you want to start with?
Well, we'll start at the bottom. And you know what's funny is if Cam Ward is decent, I can actually see the Titans making a jump. They still have Tony Pollard. They brought in Singleton on the ground. They addressed the offensive line again. They brought in Carnell Tate, who I really, really like. And you got Wendell Robinson adding to a young receiving core. So if you've got weapons for Cam Ward, I could see this team starting to be towards like a league average offense. And Cam Ward, I thought made decent. He played decent considering it was a terrible situation last year. I need to see a bit more from him, but he has more to play with now. I think Tate isn't going to be Marvin Harrison. I think he's going to be a star. And Robinson had a really good year last year with the Giants. He should be a solid number 2. Did they do enough on offense and defense to get out of the cellar of the AFC South? I don't think so, but I am expecting a little bit better, kind of like the Raiders.
I think they did enough because another team in the South did exactly the best job at like sinking their chances of doing anything this year. But as far as the Titans are concerned, you look at they went in, they got Robert Saleh as the coach, and what did he do? He went and got 2 other former head coaches to coach that team. You got Brian DeBall, who will be heading up the offensive line, and you got Gus Bradley, who will be doing the defense. Defense with Robert Saleh, you already know is going to be really good. It's going to step up as far as like the production of their defense goes. Gone are a lot of the whiners, like then Ladarius Sneed is gone. You look at some of the other people, they lost Tre'Davious Sweat, who was a good nose tackle for them. They lost a lot on their defense. They're in fact only 4 returning starters on last year's defense, but they sucked. So that's why there's only 4 returning starters back to that defense. You look at what Cam Ward was able to do. He improved steadily over the season. He didn't have shit to throw to. And when you don't have that, and probably, sorry, Mr. First Down, the worst offensive line in the NFL blocking for your franchise quarterback, you're not going to really run the ball. The fact that Tony Pollard was able to get a second 1,000-yard season for this team last year was blessings. Now, is he going to do it again? We will see. We will see, because 17 games, like I said before, feels like a shoe-in for a 1,000-yard season for anybody. But you look at what he was able to do. He had 1,082 yards for the season. Still has decent speed. They brought in Carnell Tate, and like you said, Wendell Robinson. That pushes Calvin Ridley, never had it over to the 3rd receiver. They do have a lot of potential, but they don't have a lot of now players. And, they're going to be a few more years out. I do have them going 5-12 for the season, which is good enough for 3rd in this division in my eyes. I just think that this is by far the worst division in football right at this moment.
Yeah, the MGM has them at 6.5 wins. I'm going to go 5-12 as well. Sorry, Mr. First Down. I got to see a little more from Cam Ward to believe it. I mean,
hey, it's an improvement. It's an improvement.
Hey, like you've gotta, yeah. Like last year, what did you do? 15 TDs and 7 interceptions actually isn't bad, and 2 on the ground is not bad considering what he had to play with. If Tate's good, this could be a much better offense. He should be getting over 20 TDs in the air. That's not the only metric I'm looking at, but I want to see more competent play. I've got the Titans there, and I think it's, unless the Colts catch lightning in a bottle, I think they're clearly the 3rd team in the division. MGM seems to think so too. It's got them going 7.5.
Take that bet. Go under.
It's hard because you still have Jonathan Taylor. And you still
that's it. That's all they got. It's like Calvin Johnson with the Detroit Lions.
Well, Tyler Warren's Tyler Warren's freaking awesome too. But damn, like, what else do you have? Let's look at this team. This is a fun team to talk about. So they've got our boy Daniel Jones. Actually, was pretty good last year.
I can't wait to saw this team after you're done.
I'm going to read their depth chart. You ready for this?
Oh, I read it.
What'd you think? I'm going to give kudos. I really do like Tyler Warren. I think he's a hell of a talent. I'm being honest.
No, I agree. I like Tyler Warren. I like Jonathan Taylor. That's pretty much it.
And Quentin Nelson's a hell of a guard. Outside of that offense, you paid Alec Pierce a lot of money, and I actually just drafted him late in fantasy.
114 over 4 years.
Wow, for a guy that had 40 pitches. I don't see it. Sauce and Ward could be a decent cornerback tandem, but damn,
you don't score touchdowns.
DeForest Buckner, I'm like really stretching here. Yeah, I think This has unless the offense carries the day, this has the potential to go really bad. They have the potential to actually finish under the Titans. Titans can overachieve a little. They could finish 5 or 6 wins, and the Titans could squeak them out. This could be pretty close race for bottom. Or the Colts start hot. Jones gets on fire. Taylor's just a wrecking crew again, and the receiving core with Warren is enough, and they could get to 9 wins based on pure offense. I don't see it, but at least you got a running back. But that's being nice. What you think of this team?
I think they suck. Here's a fact. Daniel Jones, 6 out of the 7 seasons that he played professional football, has had a stud top 3 running back playing in the backfield with him. Mm-hmm. The only reason that the Colts were able to do what they did was not because of Daniel Jones. It was because Jonathan Taylor amassed almost 2,000 scrimmage yards and 20 touchdowns with 364 touches. He is the catalyst. He is the reason why they were able to do it. And then you look at the fact that Daniel Jones had Michael Pittman, who they released, had so many players. You give a contract to a guy just because he has 21 yards per catch to be your number 1 receiver is absolutely ludicrous to me, because you look at, you go and sign Keenan Allen recently, who is maybe 5 years younger than I am, and I'm 45. And the fact that you gave away Franklin, you gave away Pat Pittman Jr., you gave away Jeremiah Pratt, you gave away Kitty Payne, you gave away Cross, you gave away, and all their starts, 116 last year. That is a lot of stuff that you're trying to replace with what you brought in. And you brought in someone that is a mediocre quarterback and then a receiver that just so happened to have a very high yards per catch thing. He's going to get locked up with the number 1 cornerback every time he trots out onto the field. He's not going to be the slot guy lined up against a linebacker or a safety who can't cover shit. Pierce is going to be lined up with the best one that they have. And, you know, they need Jesus, because this is going to be one of those moments where they're going to be praying to God that they don't get blown out every single week. Chris Ballard, sorry, you did a shitty job your whole time as GM there in Indianapolis. This is your nail in the coffin. Good luck fucking managing a Wendy's after this, because with what you just did to a team that was on the cusp, a surprise, you went your shit. God knows. It just doesn't make sense. You let Pittman go after you gave him a huge contract to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who need a quarterback. Surprise, you need a quarterback too, because Daniel Jones is not it. You got Anthony Richardson, who you drafted because you're like, holy shit, his arm is so amazing, but he can't connect on a simple 5 and out. You have Jonathan Taylor. You have John. That's it. It's Calvin Johnson of the Detroit Lions 20 years ago. And when you have only one player that you're about, I have Jonathan Taylor on my dynasty team, and I hope to God that he doesn't get injured because of the lunacy that this GM just pulled with this team this past offseason. Straight ass work by Chris Ballard. Everybody does need Jesus.
Jason's got the Texans 12-5, the Jaguars 10-7, the Colts 9-8, and the Titans 6-11. I love Jonathan Taylor out of respect for Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to say 7 wins for the Colts. 6. I'm going to go 5 for the Titans, because Taylor is good if he's healthy for 4 or 5 wins by himself. But that's sheer, and I like Tyler Warren. Outside of that, I don't see it. Daniel Jones is going to be thrown to Alec Pierce. And wait. Is it Keenan Allen? Tyler,
it's so painful.
This is a team that should be selling off veterans if it doesn't pan by, and it shouldn't pan by the trade deadline. You, instead of trading for Sauce Gardner, you got DeForest Buckner. You should trade off some vets, and they should know better than to extend Jones. But at least they only did it for 2 years. After a good season, they're about to find out what the Giants did. Good luck. I'm not huge on this team at all. I do kind of like the top two teams in the division for various reasons. Med, do you have the Jaguars or the Texans winning the division?
I have the Colts going 3-14. The only thing they're going to compete for is that number 1 overall draft pick. And yes, in 2 years, I will still be able to say that the Chicago Bears are still the best team in Indiana.
There you go.
Daniel Jones.
Did you just mic drop? Is that a mic drop?
Yeah. Daniel Jones, he does it for me. He is probably public enemy number 1 for me.
He really brings it out of you, huh?
Richardson to receiver. I just do not like Daniel Jones.
Should they move Anthony Richardson to receiver? They still have Anthony Richardson on that team.
They just need to go ahead and cough it up as an L and send him to the NFL D League or whatever it is that they have. Just put him in the AFL. Let The Rock handle him. Maybe he'll do something there.
That'd be entertaining. Who wins the division?
I have the Texans winning the division, and I also have the Jaguars going 7-10.
Oh my gosh. I initially earlier today was thinking Jaguars surprise because the Texans offense concerns me badly, but I think Stroud is going to make some amends. Hopefully he needs to after that playoff run and last year. Yeah, I'm going to go Jaguars 9-8. I still like they've got some talent on this team. And the coach had them go in the right direction last year. And I
like the coach.
Division. It's a weak division. You could get 4 wins easily, and if you split with the Texans, you could get 5 wins. If the Colts,
well, I think they're going to get 2 wins with Indianapolis. I think that Indianapolis is going to basically do an 0-6 season.
With the easy division, it kind of inflates your record a little bit. I could see the Jaguars. BetMGM's got them at 9.5. They were surprised last year. Don't love Trevor Lawrence, but if he can just be decent, they could steal some easy wins. They had a good defense last year. Any other thoughts on the Jaguars?
So one of the first questions is, how does Trevor Lawrence continue to improve after his best season in a 5-year career? He was a Pro Bowl player his second year, and he had some pretty good numbers, 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions and 66% completion percentage. Last year, his best season that he ever had, you looked at the rushing, you already said that, 38 to 12 interceptions, but we're not including the fumbles, which he had quite a few of those too. Dude cannot hold on to the ball for anything, put stick him on his hands. He got sacked 41 times, and he just completed barely over 60% of his passes. BTJ, go ahead and put him on a milk jug because he disappeared after his amazing rookie season. Last year only had 48 catches, 707 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You had him on your fantasy team, so I know you exactly his stat. And in all honesty, I think the running back room might be a little bit better with ECN out of it.
Past tense had. Yeah, I like Brayshell Tootin. BTJ is going to need to figure it out, or he's not going to. He's looking even worse after how bad it was last year than Marvin Harrison, even though he had a great rookie year because the Jaguars were looking to trade him. Like, he's got to turn this back around as good as he looked as a rookie because he at least gave you the promise. Marvin Harrison gave you the promise, of what could he be. It was pure potential. BTJ capitalized on it. So now to regress as badly as he did last year to the point where they're fielding trade offers after just 2 years, it's a bad look.
And this is one of the reasons why I wasn't really high on him when he was coming into the Okay. This is one of the reasons why I wasn't really high on him when he was coming in, because when he was at LSU, he had a hard time of actually keeping his starting job. He always got passed up by other players. Justin Jefferson, everyone beat him out. And he had a great first year. He needs to try to reclaim that magic. I don't know if he said something. Maybe he pulled a Zach Wilson and slept with Trevor Lawrence's mom for all we know. We don't know. It could have happened. He's a true MILF hunter down in Jacksonville. Let's get it on. But You also look at what they brought in. They didn't really have much money to really go out there in free agency. Chris Rodriguez is pretty much the biggest ad that they had. Didn't really do much in Washington, which actually could help out with them. You look at basically his size. He's a good power runner, and paired up with Tuden, who's a 4.32 speed on the 40. You're not looking at thunder and lightning. You're looking more at like hammer and chisel. So you have a decent running back combo that could probably help him out and everything like that. As I watched Isaac struggle with his headset, check the batteries, homie. And you look at the defense, it lost a lot of leadership. It lost Devin Lloyd. It lost Andrew Wingard. It lost Greg Newsome Jr. It lost a lot of leadership. I thought it was 7-10. It was 7-10. I actually increased it to 8-9. So, yeah, I want to see what Trevor Lawrence does for act number 2. If he can cut down on his turnovers, then the sky's the limit. But right now, when you look at that whole draft class that included players like Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and that was supposed to be the squad. Zach Wilson, that was supposed to be the year that all these great quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is your best quarterback, and he's been to 1 Pro Bowl as a number 1 overall pick.
This team might be decent enough. I missed some of that with the headphones, but this team might be decent enough that if he just doesn't make mistakes, he holds onto the ball, limits the turnovers. I could see them getting 10 wins with a solid run game, him protecting the ball and playing smart. This is one of those teams with good coaching. If he needs to limit the turnovers. He didn't last year. If they can fix that, even if he's making less explosive plays, this team could be better for it. He's a guy who needs to try not to do too much and just use his legs. A weak division, I'm still going. I got to go above 500. It's hard to have 3 teams sub 500 in a division. It's just law of averages. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go 9-8.
But you look at what the NFC South did a few years ago, and they had a playoff contender with Tom Brady at 8-9. So I mean, there's that.
That 1 year, right? His last year, didn't they win the division at 8-9?
They won the division at 8-9.
Love it. So what record do you think the Texans get, and do you think they figure out their offensive problems to be an actual contender that gets past the second round? Well, not because it's not just CJ Stroud, even though he lost him that game. But do you think they figure this out with this defense? Now they got Montgomery coming in. They have a lot of young receivers. They brought in Booty to replace Higgins. They have Tank Dell maybe coming back at some point. You still have Noel. You obviously have Nico Collins, who's the playmaker. Do they have enough on offense to scare teams at all?
I think their defense is what's going to be really scaring teams, and they're going to ride the coattails of that defense. I look at CJ Stroud right now, and he kind of reminds me of Mark Brunell back in the day with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's just not going to be – first, get over 30 touchdown passes in the season, then come talk to me. Ever since his glorious rookie season that really put him up on the pedestal, and a lot of people were like, man, this might be a top 5 quarterback.
What's funny is Brunell was decent, but never that great. I was looking at his stats. He had 3 seasons at 20 TDs or more. That's it. And one of them was ironically late in his career with Washington. He was 35 by then. He'd had a couple injury-plagued seasons. He was a dude who hovered around.
He did just enough.
20 TDs. He did just enough. The sucky thing is Stroud was drafted so high, that team just needs him to not suck. C+ Stroud would be enough to get you to at least a conference championship. C+ Stroud. I got that from Bill Simmons.
I was going to say,
it's freaking great. It works. C+ Stroud.
It does. Hilarious. I would love to see that on a shirt. C+ Stroud.
You haven't seen this yet. It's one of my new Spider-Man shirts. The next,
nice.
I'll get a C+ Stroud shirt. If they win a Super Bowl, I'll buy a C+ Stroud because that's what he did. He just needs to not suck, be decent, and they're going to need him at some point in the playoffs. They will. They'll need him to not only not suck, they'll need him to make some plays. I need to see more from him, even with all the problems around him. Hopefully the offensive line's a little bit improved. I'm going to say, even in a weak division, I love that defense. I really do. I'm going to go, BetMGM has them at 9.5. I'm going to go 11-6. What are you thinking?
I went with 13-4, and it's mostly because of defense. Because one of the biggest questions is, can CJ Stroud bounce back? He posted career lows in passing yards. He had actually 1,000 less passing yards than he did his rookie year, and it's just he has not thrown more than 23 touchdown passes in a season. David Montgomery will actually solidify their running game. Especially after the whole Joe Mixon experiment kind of failed. Fresh start after the dwindling touches in the grid city with Jahmyr Gibbs just nuking it up there. The strange thing about what you look at as far as the receiving totals and everything, besides Nico Collins and his 1,117 yards, Dalton Schultz was actually the second highest at 777. But Dalton Schultz was also the team leader in receptions, as you get to look at my double chin, with 82 catches. So, you already talked about the fact that Higgins, you talked about it before we got on here. Higgins getting hurt, that was one of the things that they needed, is another guy to step up. Tank Dell is coming off a major knee injury. You look at Noel, now the Texans got some Boutte, and not in the way that Deshaun Watson got it, but, they went and made a trade for the receiver out of New England, who, surprisingly, the owner also got busted for the same thing. They must have used the same massager. Anyway,
have you heard about Watson recently? He got the starting job. He probably shouldn't have, but he was mad that fans were cheering him when he got hurt.
Oh God! Well, I mean,
the guy's basically
play better.
Money. It's like highway robbery.
Yeah.
After all the personal crap against him, then you not only get hurt, but you play like straight ass. Like, come on, what are you doing?
And what's crazy about it, he's number one on the depth chart up in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, I think Shedeur should have gotten a shot. Not that he's been great, but at least see what he's got. I would, out of pure spite, and this is why I shouldn't be an NFL GM, but or coach, maybe I should be. I wouldn't start the guy because he's stolen money from Cleveland. And I would just sit him purely on, you've sucked. You're not starting. I'd put him as the number 3 QB. You do not extend this guy, because then he'll have some magical decent season and they're going to be like the Colts and extend him like they did with Daniel Jones. You don't pay this man another cent. You pay him as little as you can. You inactivate him. You don't play him.
That's what happens when you do a fully guaranteed contract. He's got a Morgan ladder.
You do not start Deshaun Watson out of pure spite. And I don't even hate the guy. He just sucks. I kind of do actually. But also, just see what Shedor's got. Find out if you got a QB. The Browns, we haven't talked about them. They actually made some good picks in the draft. I like Casey Concepcion. I like, who's the other guy? Denzel Boston. You got him. Judy's might be your number 3 now. You got Bannon, who looked awesome last year. Judkins is decent. That actually could be a much better offense. You did lose Myles Garrett, but the defense should still be decent, hopefully. It was great last year with Garrett.
They got Verse. Trade too.
The defense was really good. They could still be above average defense, honestly. They could be top 10. So if the offense is decent, you could have a better than mediocre team. You need the quarterback to play decent, and it's not going to be Deshaun Watson. Sorry. This is not Houston Texans Deshaun Watson coming back. That guy's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, you got C+ Stroud now. But you look at what they did with the O-line. They revamped it. They got Brandon Smith from Indianapolis coming down. Another sign away from a rival is always a good thing in my eyes. You got Taylor Wyatt Taylor from Cleveland coming down. That'll help solidify the inside. And then you drafted All-American Rutledge from Georgia Tech. You look at the defensive line, Anderson and Hunter, Danielle Hunter. They reached 27 sacks last year and 45 quarterback hits, but they also cost $90.1 million against your cap. That's almost half your cap, for two players. And I do like the re-signing of Aziz Al-Shahir. Yes, he did a dirty hit near the end of the season, but you know what? It's all good.
Listen to this one. I also got this from Bill Simmons, so I'm stealing. So if I get a lot of views off this, then thank you, Bill Simmons. You get credit. So they were trying to come up with names for tanking for Arch Manning. Give me your best. Like they were like Parch for Arch, which wasn't bad. My favorite one though that a user sent into him was Arch Badness.
That's pretty good.
Like March Madness, but Arch Badness.
Will Arch actually be the number one quarterback though? He has struggled in Texas.
He has, but I still think he has a chance to be.
I like Dante Moore from Oregon.
We're gonna find out, man. I'm gonna try to watch more college this year, but I'm so excited for splits. I was explaining to my mom and dad about the split screen YouTube, which we'll talk about later. But
the Texans also got Reed Blankenship from the Eagles.
Interesting.
So I mean, that's another stud that's in that secondary that's already nasty. So you're getting a lot of experience. That's why I have them going 13-4. Winning the South, despite the fact that their quarterback is above average.
So we've done these three divisions. I just got an invite, and I'll ask you off the air if you want to do this. We got an invite to join for an NFC North panel next week. Instead of doing it the following week on like a co-promotional show. Me and Med will talk about it off the air. Do you see any of these teams that we previewed today? And I think so. Do you see any of them winning the Super Bowl before we get out of here? And who's your proverbial favorite right now in mid-August?
My proverbial favorite right at this moment is if Puka Nacua comes back, I think it's going to be the Rams. I don't think any other reason outside of that. And I think that the Denver Broncos have a really good chance of representing the AFC.
And if the Texans offense can just be competent, I could see them being the dark horse of the three teams we hit today. The other team would be the Seahawks if they can repeat, which is really difficult to do, but we just previewed some of the best teams in
they could NFL. Do it though.
They could. This is going to be a fun year. I think this is wide open. Right now, the favorite is the Rams. They're at 11.5 wins. Somehow the Baltimore Ravens are at 11.5, and I don't see that at all.
Here's a question.
Another day.
What team has a worse quarterback situation? The Indianapolis Colts, the Cleveland Browns, or the Arizona Cardinals? We covered each one today. To a lack of better cause.
Well, that's funny because the Colts, so you signed Daniel Jones, who at his best can give you solid running play and he can be a decent game manager at best. And the Cardinals, we don't know if anybody.
He went 2-8 with a non-stud quarterback, running back in the backfield.
At least he's got Jonathan Taylor. So
he has that. I give him that.
Like you got the man, probably the best running back in the NFL at least. So, that's a tough one. What was the other team? Was the Cardinals?
The Cardinals, Browns, Colts? Or Indianapolis Colts?
Oh, geez. I'm inclined to say the Colts because I think they missed.
I could even put in the Jets.
Yeah, we didn't hit them today, but I will say of those three, the Cardinals, because I don't think they have the guy on the roster. I don't think any of the three do, but I think the Cardinals. You know what though? They're in the best position to tank the Cardinals and the Browns. I think of the players on the rosters, I like the Cardinals the least. But weirdly, I think they're going to be in the best situation in a year from now because they might have the best weapons of those three. Because I really like McBride and I like Love.
You don't like Alec Pierce? Snagging balls on the outside.
The Browns might be decent, but at least the Cardinals have one proven dude in even though Talon Warren's decent, the Cardinals have one insanely good proven pass catcher and have intriguing talent at receiver. So I actually think it's kind of a friendly system for a dude to go in. And even though you're in a really tough division, you got some toys.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
Browns,
help
you're hoping these rookies pan out. And the Colts, Alec Pierce is your number one. Good luck with that one. I don't know how that's gonna work out. So that was a good one. I put one on YouTube today. I got one for you. Who has more pressure? And I should switch to Bo Nix, but because we did him today. But who has more pressure on him this season? CJ Stroud or Josh Allen?
Who would I start? Say again.
Who has more pressure on him? CJ Stroud or Josh Allen this year? Interesting, huh? It's kind of tough, right? Because Allen sucked in the playoffs last year too. I would say Allen because the expectations are higher. But if Stroud sucks again, do you extend him? The Texans probably will, but should they? I don't know.
The way you look at that, though, is you know what you got with Stroud, and if you decide, unless you can get the whole Deshaun Watson thing, kind of like it's a bitter pill because you bring someone in expecting them to be able to be like they were the year before, and it turned out that he was probably the worst thing that you could have brought in. And
yeah.
So
what was your answer? What was your answer?
I still think Josh Allen, though.
What was the answer to your question? Who was the worst of those three? The Colts, Browns, and the Cardinals.
I think the Colts.
I think so. I could see it. I almost like I was thinking. I don't like it at all because they're gonna have to suck hard to be able to be in position to draft a QB next year.
What if the Colts end up with Arch Manning?
Ooh, that would be crazy because you extend Daniel Jones, so I think he's got 1 or 2 more years. You bring in let's say he's even decent, but you get Arch, and then you can groom him you can just let him watch for a year, let him learn behind Jones, and then you could start him in 2028.
And it ain't like that the Indianapolis Colts haven't got a Manning before.
That would be kind of fun, actually. They're going to have to suck hard, though, and with a guy like Taylor,
they're going to suck hard.
No
team is going to suck harder. They're going to be the guy on the corner of the bus stop saying $20 is $20.
So I got a question for you. An all-time great player like Kelvin Johnson or Jonathan Taylor, how many wins is that player worth if they stay healthy? That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Like Taylor by himself, how many wins is he worth? 3, 4?
3.
So he's worth 3 wins alone. So if you lock into 2 or 3 other wins,
if they didn't have Jonathan Taylor, I would say that the Colts would go undefeated as far as a winless season goes. They're going perfect.
So if he's worth 3 wins and you luck into 2 or 3 other wins, you play yourself out of Arch Manning unless he falls out of the top of the draft.
Yeah, Dante Moore.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That one's the Browns. I just hope Shedeur gets a chance. I want to see what he's got. He showed a couple flashes last year. I actually really like Concepcion. I love Harold Fandon for them. Juddy was solid last year as a rookie. That will be an interesting team. So I don't think it's an extremely strong division. Could be wrong. Not feeling super insane strength. The Bengals could be better. It could be decent, but I don't know like if it's the world beater division everybody thinks it is. Like the Bengals right now, where are they at? 9.5 on MGM. The Ravens are at 11.5, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are at 8.5. Just interesting. It's gonna be a good division. Cleveland is 5.5.
I feel like I'm gonna make some money this year.
Let's just do this. No, I'm just kidding. Let's just It's gonna be fun. I can't wait for the season. I just got Sunday ticket. I can't wait. I wish they were an affiliate. Oh my god, if we were a big enough show. But I can't wait for the 4-way. I love watching football that way. It's so much fun on Sundays. Now I'm with my dad and buddies. It's gonna be awesome. Med, we'll talk about it off air. We'll definitely be back next Tuesday in one way or another. I got text during the show about doing a co-show with somebody else next week, so we'll talk about it. But you guys can expect us on Tuesdays 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, we were a few minutes late. Thank you to the over 100 people watching again. Appreciate you guys. Peter and Jason, you guys rock. I don't know where Janae was. I think I might have forgot to send it to her, actually. That's my fault. Oopsie, my bad. Oh, hold on. I got another poster. Dang it, I didn't bring it. It's another poster that's kind of like this one, like the Spider-Man. I don't know if it'll be up here at school, but it'll be pretty cool. But I did get another, I don't know if that was up last time. So the Wisconsin, so now the wall, the Packer wall, I just need paint. But it's starting to look much better.
Why would you do that?
Because I want to remember what diarrhea looks like. The worst kind. I can't wait to talk NFC North with you, dude. But any final thoughts, man, before we see you next week?
Not at all right now. I mean, I'm very interested to see, and we should actually keep track and maybe even predict, like by the end of the show, predict who's going to be the top 5 drafting teams going into next year.
That would be fun. We do like playoff predictions and we do top 5 draft picks, and then we come back in February and we see what happened. That'd be cool. I agree. Well, thank you to everybody for watching. Please go check us out on all the socials. Obviously, always on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, but also on TikTok and Instagram. And we will see you guys next week. Have an awesome week, and hopefully all your fantasy football players stay healthy. Thanks, everybody.